اللهم صل على الحبيب محمد يا ربي صل.
Well, we can't look into people's hearts, but we can definitely look at and feel impact. So, again, what Sheikh Yasir was talking about, there needs to be more discussion, and it needs to be when these situations come up, and someone comes to the Sheikh or someone comes to the religious leader of a community and say, I was blocked from marriage only because the color of my skin. It doesn't have to even be black immigrant. It could be a darker skinned Bengali with a Pakistani who's lighter, right? And is the sheikh going to give the father nasiha? Is he really going to advise him about what the deen says and how you're blocking this marriage for unjustifiable reasons? And actually, some of the fuqaha say that if you block your daughter being married for somebody who is of good character and has deen, you forfeit your right to be Walid. Actually, there's been fatwa about this. And actually, we see this with two marriages of the Sahaba, with Sa'ad as-Sulami and Julaybi, where literally two girls from the Ansar, literally the parents said no, and Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam did the marriage anyway, even though the parents weren't down with it. There has to be, some people may not have a malicious intention, but their implicit bias has to be unwrapped and they have to be reminded about Allah. I think some of these parents, when they're really reminded about Allah, I think that will change the hearts of many. Some, the ta'assub is so deep in them that they may not change real quickly. But I believe that a lot of people will, if it's talked about more, and if the shuyukh and the imam really speak to the subject and address it head on, and, even on a case-by-case basis. Not just the mimbar, but to literally talk to the brother.
I mean, young people, right, who are in their 30s and their 40s, by the way.
Yeah, in their 40s.
Just the other day, the 40s, I mean, plenty of people I know in their 40s who are still looking. They're getting married anyway. Mm-hmm. There are so many circumstances that and this is what I tell parents. I mean, just recently, there was someone from the subcontinent who was a young man who wanted to marry a girl who was Asian. I'm not going to give too many details because they just got married. And they came to me in my office and they sat down and we're talking. And he's like, and my father is a strict, hardcore. I mean, he wants me to marry a girl who's literally from a madrasa, from our village. Mm. And so I usually don't do this. I said, where's your father? He says, in a different state. I said, let me give him a call. And I had a very blunt conversation with him. I said, you need to come to terms with the reality that we're in on so many scales. But then I said exactly what you just said. I said, at the end of the day, you love the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. إن جاءكم من ترضون دينه, right? We have standards. فَاظْفَرْ بِذَاتِ الدِّينِ تَلِبَتْ يَدَاكَ. Rush after the one of deen. This girl, she is clearly a good girl. There's no, there's nothing that's externally or visible that's wrong. She has great samt and khuluq and conduct, right? And alhamdulillah, they got married, bifadlillah, right? They just got married, they had their nikah a few weekends ago. Alhamdulillah. Before that, there was a circumstance where there was an Egyptian who wanted to marry a Pakistani. Mm. And the Egyptian family of the girl was categorically against it. I mean, just angrily against it. And the Pakistani, now that couple ultimately went through a sheikh and they said, what do we do? And it was a long, drawn out thing. Now they ultimately got married. And now, subhanAllah, the father loves his son-in-law the most. Right? Even more than his own son. When his blood son, he loves his son-in-law because he saw in his son-in-law a good man, right? Deen and khuluq, who takes care of his own mother, who takes care of her mother, who takes care of him. And so, subhanAllah, when people are able to embrace reality as it is on many spheres, on the racial sphere, on the reality where young people are headed anyway, it kind of, and you embrace it, instead of just trying to reject it and rush away from it. No, we don't want to soil, right, our bloodline. then people are if they're not going to accept it willingly, many of them are going to have to accept it unwillingly, unfortunately, by circumstance.
Or if they push, parents need to understand when they impede or push their children away from that which is halal, they are expediting them going to haram. And I know of cases of where Muslim sisters who were blocked from marriages to decent guys just end up running off with someone they met in corporate America who wasn't even a Muslim and got themselves involved in a haram marriage. And then you see the parents, and then they're sad, and they wished that they would have allowed their Pakistani daughter to have married the Bengali young man. They wished it.
Closing comments on this issue?
Can we all just get along?
That's it.
MashaAllah.